Your heart slams like it's trying to escape your chest. Your hands go cold. Your breath turns tight, like the air just got thinner. A hot wave rushes up your spine and your brain fires one sentence so loud it drowns out everything else. Something is wrong, right now. You look around for the threat, but there isn't one. That's what makes it terrifying. Panic attack doesn't feel like anxiety. It feels like an emergency that came out of nowhere. Here's the truth that changes how you see it. Panic is your threat system doing its job in the wrong context. It's a smoke alarm that screams when you make toast. Loud doesn't mean accurate. It means it's designed to get your attention fast. A panic attack is a full-body fight or flight program. Adrenaline, heartbeat, muscle tension, narrowed attention. Activated as if danger is present, even when you can't see it. Your brain runs on two speeds. The rational part wants evidence and calm explanations. The survival part is built for speed. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in sensations. If it decides you're at risk, it floods the body with signals that force you to act. That's why panic is so physical. The body reacts first, and then the mind races to explain it. So why are you having panic attacks? Usually it's not one cause. It's a chain, a sensitive nervous system, a small trigger, and then a feedback loop that turns a spark into a fire. Start with sensitivity. Panic often appears when your system is already turned up. Chronic stress, burnout, sleep deprivation, too much caffeine, dehydration, blood sugar swings, illness, big life changes, unresolved grief. Sometimes it hits after the stressful season ends, when you finally stop pushing and your body releases everything it was holding. That's why some people get their first panic attack on a weekend, on vacation, or right after exams. Your nervous system has been clenched for too long, and now it's reactive. Then comes the spark. The spark can be tiny. A skipped heartbeat, a rush of heat, lightheadedness, a tight chest, a strange breath, a moment of "I don't feel real." These sensations are common in everyday life. But in a sensitized system, your brain notices them like a spotlight snapping on. And the mind asks one dangerous question. What if this means something is seriously wrong? That question is gasoline. Because the moment you interpret a sensation as threat, your body reacts to the threat. Heart rate rises, breathing shifts, adrenaline climbs. You feel the change and think, it's getting worse. The brain escalates again. Now you're in the core loop of panic. Body sensation scary, meaning more body sensation, more fear, panic. This is why panic can seem to come from nowhere. The first cue might be so small you barely registered it. But once your brain labels it as danger, everything intensifies fast. A very common driver here is interoception, your brain's sensitivity to internal signals like heartbeat, breathing, stomach sensations, temperature. Some people feel these signals more strongly. And if you've had one panic attack before, your brain starts scanning for the beginning of another one. Not because you're weak, but because your brain learned, last time we were in danger. Even if you weren't, it felt like you were. The brain stores felt danger like real danger. That leads to the second problem, fear of fear. After a panic attack, many people don't just fear the world. They fear their own sensations. They start monitoring their body. They check their pulse. They test their breathing. They avoid exercise because it raises heart rate. They avoid crowds or traffic because escape feels hard. They avoid caffeine, social events, even laughter, because laughter changes breathing. The world shrinks not because places are dangerous, but because the person is afraid of being trapped inside the sensations. Here's the trap. Avoidance gives short-term relief, and short-term relief trains your brain. Every time you avoid a situation and feel calmer, your threat system learns. Good call. That place was dangerous. Every time you check your pulse and feel reassured, your brain learns, we needed that check to be safe. Your nervous system never gets the evidence that you're okay without the safety behavior. So the fear stays alive. Breathing often makes panic worse, but not for the reason people think. In panic, many people start breathing faster or shallower without realizing it. That can shift carbon dioxide levels and create dizziness, tingling, numbness, and a surreal, detached feeling. Those sensations are scary, so the mind panics more, and breathing gets even more chaotic. It becomes a self-feeding spiral. The body creates sensations, the mind reads them as danger, the body escalates. Then cognition comes in. Your mind hates uncertainty. It wants a story. And when your body is screaming, your brain grabs the worst explanation first. Heart attack. I'll pass out. I'm losing control. I'm going crazy. Those are threat predictions, your brain trying to protect you by preparing for the worst. But in panic, the prediction becomes the trigger. There are a few common psychological patterns that increase the odds of panic. One is chronic hypervigilance. If you spent years needing to stay alert, unpredictable family, constant criticism, conflict, bullying, your nervous system learned that safety equals monitoring. In adulthood, that monitoring can turn inward. You scan your body and your mind the same way you once scanned a room. Another is suppressed emotion. Some people don't feel anxiety as thoughts. They feel it as a body. They're high-functioning, always fine, always pushing. But unprocessed fear, anger, grief, and shame don't disappear. They move into tension, insomnia, stomach problems, and sometimes panic. Panic can be your system forcing a stop sign into your life when you've been ignoring every yellow light. Another is learned catastrophe. If you had a medical scare, fainted once, had a bad reaction to a substance, or watched someone collapse, your brain can become primed to treat certain sensations as danger signs. Even excessive symptom searching online can wire this pathway. Sensation equals disaster. Panic grows in that mental map. And then there's the simple biology of overstimulation. Caffeine, nicotine, sleep loss, dehydration, unstable meals. These mimic anxiety sensations. If your body is revved up, your brain needs an explanation. If it chooses danger, panic can ignite. So what actually helps? Not calm down, not fighting your body. Panic is strongest when you treat sensations as proof of danger. The goal is to change the meaning of the sensations and stop reinforcing the loop. In the moment, the most powerful shift is this. This is my alarm system, not a catastrophe. You don't have to feel calm for it to be true. You just need to stop adding gasoline. Instead of scanning for what's wrong, anchor your attention outward for a few seconds. Sounds, textures, what you see, because panic narrows attention inward. Then soften your breathing by slowing the exhale slightly. Not huge breaths, just a longer exhale like you're telling the body, we're not sprinting. You don't need perfect breathing. You need a signal of safety. The hardest part is allowing the wave to peak without doing your rituals. The mind will beg you to check, escape, reassure, Google, or run. But every ritual teaches your brain that panic was dangerous. If you can stay with the sensations, uncomfortable, intense, but not harmful, you teach your brain the opposite. These feelings can rise and fall, and I can handle them. That's how the alarm recalibrates. Long-term, panic improves when you reduce safety behaviors gradually and rebuild tolerance. That can include returning to avoided places in small steps and safely practicing body sensations you fear, like raising your heart rate with light movement. So your brain learns that a fast heartbeat can mean stairs, excitement, or exercise, not disaster. You're not trying to prove you're fearless. You're giving your nervous system new evidence. And don't underestimate baseline regulation. When sleep is steadier, hydration is better, caffeine is reasonable, and meals are consistent, your system becomes less reactive. It doesn't fix everything by itself, but it lowers the sensitivity so relearning is easier. Here's a real example that shows the control paradox. Imagine you're in a meeting. You feel a tiny chest flutter. Instantly you start checking. Am I breathing right? Am I blushing? Can they see it? You try to control your face, your posture, your breath. But control requires monitoring, and monitoring keeps your attention glued to your body. The more you monitor, the louder the sensations feel. The louder they feel, the more your brain insists something is wrong. Then your body answers with even more adrenaline, because it thinks your monitoring means danger is real. And notice how panic twists time. In a panic attack, your brain turns the next 30 seconds into a life or death forecast. If this keeps going, I'll collapse. But panic isn't a straight line. It's a wave. If you can stop treating the first spike as a prophecy, the wave has room to crest and fall. This is also why waiting it out isn't passive. It's active learning. You're teaching your nervous system that intensity can exist without catastrophe. If your panic is linked to specific places, stores, public transport, driving, your brain isn't afraid of the place itself. It's afraid of being trapped with symptoms. The real fear is, what if I can't escape my own body? That's why gradual practice works. You enter the situation long enough to prove, even if symptoms show up, I can stay. You don't need perfect confidence. You need repeated experiences where your brain sees the ending. The fear peaks and then nothing terrible happens. And one more important point. Panic often carries a layer of shame. People think, why can't I handle what everyone else handles? But shame increases threat sensitivity because shame tells the brain, I'm unsafe socially. When you add, I'm broken to, I'm scared, the nervous system doubles down. A calmer, more accurate frame is, my nervous system learned this pattern. I can unlearn it. That frame isn't motivational fluff. It's how brains update. Let me end with the core idea. A panic attack is intense, but it is time-limited. It rises, peaks, and falls. The fear insists it will keep escalating forever, but adrenaline has a curve. The reason it feels endless is because your mind keeps feeding the loop with catastrophic meaning. When you stop feeding it, the curve softens. So if you've been wondering whether panic means you're broken, here's a better interpretation. Your nervous system is trying to protect you with outdated rules. It learned to fear certain sensations, and now it's overreacting. That's not your fault, but it is something your brain can relearn. If you want a practical next step, start watching the loop in your own life. What's the first sensation? What story does your mind attach? And what do you do to feel safe? Then ask, does that behavior help long-term or only for 30 seconds? Every time you choose long-term learning over short-term relief, you're training your brain toward safety. You're not having panic attacks for no reason. There is a reason, a sensitive alarm system plus a learned fear of sensations. And the good news is, alarms can be recalibrated.